Welcome to another video where I talk about all my completed pictures and about my progress in coloring books. Today we will talk about Hanna Karlzon book. Recently, during the last 2 or 3 years, I have big difficulties to color in Hanna books. I started to doubt my own skills to do nice pictures in her books. I don't know in which style I want to color them, to mask black lines, to mask elements which I dislike, like tattoo, huge eyelashes, things growing from animals, and some other elements which I am not very fond of. So recently I almost abandoned on all her books, but fortunately in this year I at least completed 2 or 3 pictures and I love them, so I think that it's a positive sign. I really love her last book about Christmas, about New Year. I hope that maybe one day I will manage to purchase it, but I admired so many pictures posted by other colorists, so I'm very happy that Anna continued to create her beautiful books, and I hope that one day I will find again my confidence. Okay, so the oldest, maybe the most famous book by Anna is Daydreams. I hadn't touched it for many years. I have a lot of pictures here from my first, which I did with student grade pencils, then a lot of experiments with the background. And what I did here, I called Summer Crown. You know that I love to color metals, so that was the first reason why I selected this page. I also loved those huge gemstones. I still learn how to color them, and my Posca also doesn't help me in the initially those lines, they were white. Now I can see that because I put white Posca on top of purple color, it started to change color into something more pink, but well, that's okay. So I did this crown with simple watercolor background. Usually I do such background when the first layer is matte acrylic paint or matte watercolor, and on top of it I sprinkle something pearlescent or something sparkling metal, matching colors of the main image. And you can see why it's summer crown, because apart from the gemstones it's also decorated with flowers. Let me show you quickly my old works. Those which I did with Derwent color salts, with Colleen pencils. Pictures which I did when I just purchased my first set of Prisma colors. I still love many of them, but those pictures I liked them when I did. Now, of course, I tend to mask lines, I tend to do more complicated backgrounds, so even if I enjoy looking at my old works, I'm not sure that I would be equally happy to do similar works now. This one is lovely, it's acrylic background, and I do love this pearlescent background behind the squirrel. You can see that I started several pictures, then I abandoned them. So my story with Anna pictures, it's not the easiest one. There are books where I can color everything without any efforts. In Anna I have to do careful color planning, but I think that even if I have difficulties currently with her people, with her animals, I at least can do such pictures with crowns. I thought about this one. I would love to do something with maybe with ocean background, because I was inspired by those waves on the crown, so I am currently thinking about this one. It's one of my favorite works. It's all done with Prisma colors, very lovely work. And another one which I absolutely love, it's the fish which I did here. I think that it looks very nice and quite realistic. Here you can see in the beginning I experimented a lot with different backgrounds. Sorry if maybe they don't look very nice now on the camera, because it's difficult to film under just some electric light. That's probably one of the most suffering books because I started and I abandoned. That was famous because here I discovered how well watercolor behave on this paper, so I started to use it more frequently. Magical Dawn, it's another one where I did picture this year, and it's probably one of my most completed books. Of course, it's far from being fully completed, but I have a lot of finished pictures. Started from very old works, even nice title page, which is a rare thing for me. Again, a lot of experiments here, metal acrylic paints with those dots for the Forest Enchantress. That's another spread about which I am thinking maybe I will do it, because when her books were just published, they were so popular that everyone, I think that I saw like 100 completed pictures like this one, so it was very difficult to do something from my own. Now when people color more in her recent books, those they are slightly more forgotten, so I can be sure that if I do something, it won't be a copy from other person's work which I saw somewhere on social media. Well, okay, so that's one of my favorite works of all the time. I'm extremely proud of this Egyptian background, which I did completely by myself, just copying some reference photos. Again, something abandoned. Again, experiments with the background. A lot of metal paints everywhere. And that's page which I did. After I did summer crown, I decided to do also spring crown. And this one I love a little bit more. It was easy to color because flowers were smaller and more matching the style of the crown, so it was easier for me to select colors. I tried to stay in this light pastel color palette to represent spring. Biggest problem was the background. Maybe it looks too active, especially if you look at real life. There are a lot of sparkling paints, pearl pink, pearl green, pearl lilac, but I remember that I did it when we had the arid series, and I have everything, the wet paper, flowing paint, arid series, and I didn't want to stop because, you know, when you do this wet on wet background, you can't stop. Well, I have some not very fun but vivid memories about this one, and I love how they look together. They even have some similarities in color palette, and I do love this one. Oh, many pictures. From several years, it was probably my favorite book. I colored like every week a page, and that's why I have so many pictures here. That's where I started to realize that, well, for her portraits I would love to mask so many things like eyebrows, eyelashes, noses. Well, not a favorite of all those tattoos. That was one of the reasons why I stopped to color her portraits, because from many artists like Christine Caron, like Chris Ortega, there are portraits which are much easier for me to color. I'm not a big artist to do portraits. It's every time a struggle for me. So when the line art also is challenging, it's kind of double challenge for me. When line art is clean and beautiful, at least it's I have to think only about colors. So that's why I mostly color in Hanna Karlzon books, such pictures with objects, with insects, with animals, and portraits. They are rare. I love her cats, I love her insects, and I love her bottles. Her bottles, potions, lanterns, candles. such things. That's what I love to color. Oh, and architecture also. Another thing which I wanted to do, it's this crown. I made for myself a list for available crowns. I still need to do an autumn crown and winter crown. About this one, I thought about winter colors. Many old works. It's like steps of the very long coloring journey. Summer nights, it's one of my least favorite. Here I also have a lot of abandoned pictures, but several pictures, they are not bad. It's another crown, so that's why I think about this one, it's to do it in autumn color, and after that I will have a completed set. So what I have here, I have those sleeping mice. I do love the outer part, and I totally dislike how I did 4 on mouse, especially on this one. The second one, it's not bad. So well, those sleeping mice, it's like 50-50. Outer part is nice, especially those shining plants, so it looks magical, but poor animals, not so good. Oh, I have such nice memories about this one, and about this one, and this one. Why? Because that's 3 pictures which I did immediately after I purchased my first set of Prismacolors, and it was kind of magic. I never tried such a buttery creamy pencils, so for me it was a huge step. I realized why so many people sing praises to these pencils, and I was crazy happy when I purchased my relatively small set of 130 or 72 colors, so not the full set, but even at that time I was absolutely happy, and from that moment I fell in love with Prismacolors. This one I did, I believe, with soft pastel and with Derwent color softs. Color softs are not bad on this paper, but, well, I feel lack of colors, especially green colors. That's color softs. Something messing up with pearl acrylic, which created very unpleasant texture here. This one is nice. Another messy metallic background. And, well, not very successful pencil background, but lovely poppies. Okay, I will keep my bookmark. Jewelry box I do love. Again, not the easiest book for me to color, but it has many subjects which I love to color. Oh my god. Let's not look at those poor attempts to do dark skin tone. Well, a lovely spread. I am especially proud of the background and how I did beetle on the right side, but the left with the peacocks also is quite lovely. Again, it's matte background and several accents with pearl and metal colors. I think that it looks quite impressive and quite spectacular. It's another one of my favorite works where I added those shells and a wall behind, because those lovely bottles, they were hanging in the air. So I decided to add this kind of background, watercolor, Prismacolor pencils. Oh, terrible attempt to do face, but lovely work on the background and her headpiece. It's still one of my favorite pictures. I wish I would wait a little bit until I gained some skills how to do normally faces, shading, but well, I really wanted to do it, so it's Emerald Queen. Lovely cat, very fluffy. I think that it's one of my best attempts to do fluffy cats. I especially love face and eyes, so this one I consider as a successful work. Here I did black cat, also quite nice, and I call this one the Opal Princess. I really wanted to do here pictures connected with the name of the book. Here we have the jewelry box, so I wanted to do something based on the gemstone colors. I think that it's neo color background I did after I received neo color crayons, but something dirty it's here. It's probably from this side. I don't know. I will try to delete it to clean it a little bit. Another experiment with the background. In real life it also has this interesting texture, because paper really allows everything, to use a lot of water, to work with many layers of paint. That's again neo color background and those unusual bees. And finally what I have here, it's my enchantress. I love her. I deliberately wanted to do her face with very pale skin, almost whitish. I think that I saw some painting which inspired me to do the lady with dark hair, with several colorful strands of hair, and with a very white skin, and only eyes and lips as focal points. So that's I tried to show here. I thought that background was a little bit empty, so I also invented several magical signs to put in those corners, and again a lot of metal gold to make it quite shiny. So for my skills, I remember that it was a huge success. I was proud of myself. Next, let's have a look at seasons. Here I even have nice title page, which I did with neo colors and with Prismacolors. Here they are simple but interesting. Here I tested those wintry background when I just purchased watercolor paints which have white pigment, so they are closer to gouache, semi-transparent with this chalky effect. And this one I did using graphite pencils with this grayish texture. They always create very good contrast to the golden colors if you do some pastel elements. So the central part I did with Inktense and with Prismacolors. Another one which I did somewhere for one of the Easter holidays, because bunnies, but I really tried to slightly change it because many flowers, they were growing directly from their bodies, and I tried to color in such a way that like flowers, it's behind the body of those bunnies. Apart from it, I think that it's quite lovely. I'm still struggling a little bit with my bouquet background, but that's one of the best examples here. I think that I did quite nice work. Experiment with different paints, regular blue, then metal purple, metal blue, mix it directly on paper, so I think that it's quite lovely. You can see that in seasons I have relatively nice amount of finished pictures. When I colored in Magical Dawn, I also did many pictures in seasons, and only later I started to lose my confidence how to do nice pictures in Anna books. That's my emerald beetles. Another attempt to do portrait. That's only pencils and a little bit of soft pastel, and again you can see the pigment of the pastel from the pencil. It makes the right side a little bit dirty. This one is lovely, but with animals it's much easier comparing to portraits. Oh, this one, I remember how unhappy I was when I did this stupid background. It overwhelmed the whole page. It already was very detailed, so when I added that stupid background, I think that I almost ruined it. But in the winter part, I have a lot of nice pictures. Let me check. I always want to do this one, but when I start to think how I need to mask her ugly eyebrows and those tattoos, I always postpone to do this one. But the general image is very lovely. So I have those very sparkly candles. It's neo colors, then metal watercolor paints on top, and everything looks very festive. But my favorite is actually this cat and mice. Here everything is Prismacolors, even the background, so I'm quite proud how I did this gradient on the background. Those crystals is definitely one of my favorite winter works. Here I just wanted to experiment with Neocolor crayon, these strange colors which I almost never use. For me they are like viridian green and teal green. They are too intense. I realized that in my set they are least frequently used, so I decided to use them at least somewhere. And they looked very vibrant, extremely vibrant. So on top of them I had to use a lot of silver metal paint. It helped to diminish a little bit the intensity of the background. And it really created some wintry effect. Yeah, that's all for the seasons. And now we have only Witch Cottage and Masquerade. Yes, I have the Forest Kingdom, but there, unfortunately, I hadn't colored anything yet. I hope that this year maybe I will do something. Next year, obviously. So, maybe let's start in Masquerade, because it was my first book from the new series. I love this one. I was inspired obviously by portraits of Marie Antoinette, so I did watercolor background, and it's interesting mix of graphitins. Thanks to graphitins I have this grayish undertone and couple of Kohinoor Mondeluz with their more clear blue colors. I have this nice balance between gray and couple of more bluish accents, and the rest it's Prismacolors. I think that she also didn't have the bottom part of the bodies, but to add blue dress it was relatively easy. You can see that here I masked all the black lines, so everything looks very light and matching the style of the page. Well, her famous insects, which usually look between insect and a piece of jewelry. I love to color such style insects because I love to color metals, and I think that this one also look not bad. Again, very traditional for me background, matte base and then sparkling elements. But of course, most of all, I love her wings. Next, I have this vase, and everything is done with Prismacolor. The only thing where I'm not very happy it's this waxy layer which I can clearly see from dark Prismacolor pencils. And finally I have the vampire princess with beautiful headpiece and with black cat. This one I did with polychromasis and obviously with a lot of acrylic paint to mask spots on her face, to make her hair much whiter, but generally I do love it. Maybe I'm not completely happy with the eyes of the cat, but I think that all attention still goes to the girl and to the headpiece here, so lovely work. And finally, in Hexenstücke, I have page with apples. I did it after long time of abandonance, so it was a small step to return coloring in Anna books. Nothing special, but I started to feel again her pictures. Paper here is slightly different. Here you also can work with watercolor, but not as freely as in the first books. When I did this one with watercolor, I was, well, unhappy with the background. So there were more sharp borders between colors. There were some areas where color disappeared, but when I worked a little bit with pencils on top of the first layer of watercolor paints, I think that it turned out quite lovely. I did it for this Halloween, and I made video where I tried to show how even not very successful background, which I did on the first step, you can look at it with the new eyes. I had those not very pleasant light stains in the center, but then I looked at it and they reminded me a little bit about some kind of smoke, so I deliberately grabbed white and light blue pencil. I intensified this impression, and I think that now it looks quite lovely. It definitely, she's levitating, started to fly, and the background, it emphasizes this impression. It's a mix of watercolor, then again sparkling metal paints to mask the least successful areas here, and Prismacolor for the witch. I also wanted to do another one where there is a witch with cats, but unfortunately didn't have time. So I think that I will try to do more in this book because it has many lovely things like bottles, potions, other witch elements, and with the smaller size of the book it's slightly easier to color, even if I prefer book from the previous editions. I am lucky to have books from the first series, all those famous Swedish editions with very nice paper, and also Dutch edition where paper is extremely thick. So I'm happy with my collection of Anna books, and I hope that maybe I will find a way how to purchase her Christmas book because it's extremely lovely, and I congratulate Hanna on her art because it's really very nice. I'm so happy that she continued to create such nice books for us. Well, thanks for watching. For me it also was quite a push to not to put all the books somewhere on the higher shelf. I need maybe to at least to finish my series of seasonal crowns. I really want to do it. So wish me luck. I don't want to abandon my books by Hanna. And I think that one more video it will be about Kerberos, or maybe I will check, and also I will do video with my works in mythographic books. Thanks for watching, and until the next videos.